The E-Series is finally complete. Now let's get into it. Before we get into the finished product, we're going to go back a little bit to show you how this van came to the shop and what the owner's aspirations were for it to look like. So a little bit of backstory on the van. This came from the guys at U-Joint Off-Road in Montrose, Colorado, and they'll be tagged in the description of this video. They did the full four-wheel drive conversion, as well as the bumpers, the lights, and pretty much most of the things on the exterior of the van. So when it got to me, it was ready for all the interior items and some exterior items to be fabricated. Now, the first thing that had to happen was the whole interior floor had to be stripped and a whole lot of holes repaired because this was a handicap accessible van. So there was tie down points and bolts and all sorts of stuff through this floor. So those all had to be plugged, welded up, and then rust proofed. So with all the big holes taken care of in the floor, rust proofed, everything, it was time to jump into sound deadening. And that's what we dealt with here. Got that all laid out on the whole floor, and then we jumped into the fabrication work. And on this van, there is a lot of fabrication work. Here, I'm folding up the gray water tank. This is one half of it, and then I got to start welding it up. So after getting the gray water tank all fitted, welded up, it was time to move on to the stainless water tank. This one's 304 stainless to hold all the fresh drinking water. With all the water tanks complete, it was time to jump into the electrical cabinet. And this I designed in Fusion 360, and it can hold up to 600 amp hours of Battleborn batteries, which now it does have, as well as the 3K inverter and all of the other Victron components that'll support this conversion. So one of the last items is the alternator. With a 12 to 12 charging system, you really need to pay attention to these alternators because the factory ones get very, very hot trying to support it. So I had Quality Power Systems build me a custom unit just for this application. And just like that, you're at the finish line and this thing is rolling down the road. This project is finally complete and it turned out amazing. So this is a customer's 2012 E350 V10. Now, this came to me as pretty much a bare bones interior. The customer really wanted a custom aluminum interior, so that's what we gave him. But here are some highlights. So right here we have the custom gray water tank that sits underneath the sink. That's aluminum there. On the other side, we have a Hanco Fab 40-gallon fuel tank. Now, this van was completely converted to four-wheel drive by the guys at U-Joint Off-Road in Montrose, Colorado. And we actually did a video together just a few days ago going over his whole four-wheel drive build. But today, we're gonna focus on the interior and some of the exterior components that I did here at Hanco Fab. So let's get into it. So out back, we have the 30 amp shore power plug. This feeds the 3K inverter and all the batteries to charge them. And we also have a 50 amp Anderson connector for the solar system. So now that we scoot underneath here, you can see the stainless water tank and the trunk assembly. The stainless water tank is 20 gallons, and I integrated the strap assemblies to use the trunk to support it. To fill the stainless water tank, there is a hose hookup right here on the rear of the van. That way you can hook up your filter assembly and get the tank full. Out back, we have a Tech Van aluminum box and a custom adapter to some track mats, as well as custom pins that were machined in-house to hold it with some safety clips. Now, I know Justin from You Join Off-Road kind of went over this. These are some kits that he has available, and he hasn't really advertised them too much, but you can contact him at You Join Off-Road Colorado, and you'll be able to see these kits a little bit more in depth. All right, let's go ahead and open these up. So right off the bat, we replaced the rear door panels. I designed new aluminum door panels for the rear of the van on both sides. So you can set stuff on the door panel assembly, and also there's a water outlet for a shower, wash your bike off, whatever you may need. It's there, quick hookup right here. Super simple to use. Now, inside the left side module, as I call them, I made these so you could unbolt these or bolt them right into the van. That way, if anything happens to this van, he can take this whole assembly out and put it in a different van and it'll bolt right in. So the right side houses the heater assembly as well as all the water lines. It's kind of like a utility area in case more things need to be added in the future, as well as a storage box underneath the bed, which is full length. Now right here, we have the storage box that's built into the floor. So pretty much store anything you would like inside here, and it's also lockable. I did put 2 extruded L-tracks on the floor. That way you can tie your luggage down, whatever it may be, between these. Now the bed assembly, this comes off and you can actually stand it up and sit it beside the bed. And that way this whole area right here, you can use for bikes or storage or whatever you may want. Now we're gonna jump into the interior here. Now right off the bat, you can see pretty consistent new door panels designed for the right side door of the barn doors, all aluminum. And the left side is the same way. Now, this one turns into a table as well. It folds down and has storage inside it. So on the back side of the sink, same kind of theme. We have a fold down table assembly, outlet, USB, and also water. On the side of the sink is also a fold up shelf, along with the swivel seat that's over here. That way this person can use that as a table. Now the woodwork was butcher block that I actually had custom done by a local woodworker, and he did amazing. And this is the only wood that was used in the van. So we jump up into the interior here. We can open up the sink. There's a master switch for the water pump. And then you have water. So not only does this van have water, but inside this cabinet houses the cooktop that fits on the outside table, the water pump, water heater, as well as another outlet. This one is switched, so he can switch the water heater on and off. And you can see down here, this is a 3D printed carbon fiber bezel for keeping things cleaned up. That way it all stays nice and tidy. So you can see over here, this is the bed, and it turned out amazing. Now, there was some sacrifices to get this built because of all the stuff we needed to put inside this van. So the electronics cabinet houses 6 Battleborn 100 amp hour batteries. So we have 600 amp hours of power, as well as a Victron 3K inverter. Now, controlling all that is this control panel that's built into the side of the isotherm fridge and freezer combo. Now, I haven't pulled the plastic off of here yet. I figured I would wait for the customer. Maybe he wants to do that. But on the side of the fridge is the control panel. Now, this unit has a Servo GX, and this controls pretty much everything in the van as far as the electronics go. Now, these are the lights. So up in the ceiling, we have these little can lights. But if you shut those off, now you have a long press. Now you have red lights. Now we'll go ahead and shut those off again. Now, one thing about this control panel, this being a Servo GX, I really wanted to have access to this in case the customer had a problem. So this I can remote connect with my laptop and see what's going on with it in case he's having an issue with the electrical system, which was a big reason why everything got put in to this system. That way it was easier to control, and also that way I could see what's going on with it. And we have the S-bar heater gas unit. This is the switch for the heated water tank, for the stainless water tank. Another USB outlet. On the side of the electronics module over here, this is our 12-volt switch panel, and below that is our master switch for the fridge. All the trim in this vehicle is formed out of aluminum, and I left some of it brushed and to give a little bit of a contrast from the powder coated aluminum. And I think that part turned out really nice, and it looks really clean. So below this nice trim right here is a second battery. So most of the time on these E-Series vans, this step is fixed in place, and it's really meant for barn doors or a slider door. But what I do is I cut all this out and basically make this out of aluminum and make a removable panel. So underneath the van, right there, is another battery. And to utilize that other battery is a start battery as a backup unit. You just flip that and you have a second start battery. That way, if he's ever getting a situation where the main battery is dead, hit that switch, your backup's on, and you're good to go. Without a doubt, this could be one of the cleanest E-Series builds out there right now, and it was awesome to be a part of it. Now, if you have any questions about the four-wheel drive side of things, contact Justin at U-Joint Colorado, and he'll be able to give you a better rundown on everything he did. Without a doubt, this project has taken quite a bit of time and effort to get everything to fit the way I wanted it to and to have the finish that I wanted. And I think that's part of the building process, is not being satisfied with mediocre. You want to push yourself to create something amazing that somebody else gets to enjoy for a very, very long time. So with that said, this is the end, and thanks for watching.